is here. That's right. And Dave's here too. Oh boy! It's time for
Beat
that
that headline.
What's up, Mr. Dave?
What is up?
happening?
What's up, Mr. Edwards?
Oh, we are.
Mr. Pickle.
Yeah, we are just doing our thing. We are just making it happen. As you know, when the holidays come around, as entrepreneurs, we do not actually get time off. We just compress stuff before and after what the time that we're taking off. So that's what's happening right now. Yeah. Woohoo! Let's do this.
Yeah. Wow. Have you been talking to my wife? Because that is, I'm sure she would agree. This time of year, or any holiday, or vacation, or yep.
Yeah. Your wife and I don't talk like we used to. Not since y'all got married.
That was a good one. Haven't heard that one.
I do it again. Anyway.
All right. Well, today,
what are we doing? You're the parent of small children. You know what that's like. Why, Daddy? Why, Daddy? Why, Daddy? What are we doing? I'm tired of this. Let's do something else. Come on, Daddy. Why? Hey, have you gotten hit with diarrhea yet?
No, actually, it's not as bad as the biggest challenge right now is like the meltdown. So
okay.
They just go to like, oh, there's no boundaries. I can do whatever I want. To like, hey, you can't do that, and then like it's like on a dime. Like they're like the queen of the world to like fragile.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah. Oh well, there you go. It only gets worse.
Yes. We are closing a loop today, my friend.
Yay! I love closing loops.
So many weeks ago now, we ran a quintuplet split test, a five split test, five split tests, 4 split tests against a control on just the headline for a company called Lolly's Cookie Camp. A digital product that shows you how to make the most delicious,
amazing,
kinds
tasty,
of TV tasty cookies.
Beautiful cookies. Cookies that not only feed your mouth, but feed your soul and feed your ego at the same. Oh, damn, dude, that could have been a good headline. Anyway, cookies that feed your soul
and ego. Feed your soul, yeah. Well, we always get learnings out of these tests, and so we did have like a check-in, and now we have the final results, and like it's awesome because it's such a great takeaway that knowing your audience, in my opinion and probably yours, is more important than the offer itself, which is pretty cool. And the other cool thing is like we literally changed just like one little thing. We added, I think, 3 words and 1 emoji and a question mark to a headline that was already there, and it increased conversion rates on that page by almost 17%, so 16.8%. And this is a long page. And so it also goes to reinforce that the headline, if you are going to start making changes, make a change there, usually first, to really understand who your audience is, what the offer is, where their headspace is at the moment. And we also had some pretty clear losers, and we also got some learnings, I think, out of that as well. So I already went ahead and kind of like set up my screen so we could do a recap to go through the different headlines.
Okay.
And then we could chat about what are our biggest takeaways, and how we could carry that forward on this page itself, and maybe how other people could use it for their headlines and their funnels as well.
Well, I think that's amazing, and I think I might actually have some things to contribute to that. So
yeah.
So please share your screen, and then I will allow it. Because
okay. the screen keeper.
That's right. So this is pretty cool.
Right.
We spent the money on ads, so you don't have to. Hey, that's a good tagline.
That's
It's
also
like I
really
said,
good.
I did a video the other morning. It's a walk talk with Jim. Ideas you can run with.
Hey.
Yeah, I do what I can. All right,
Step
hey,
by
that's
step, step by step instructions. Sorry.
exactly. That's right. Follow the path to increase profits. All right,
Oh man,
you gotta zoom in on that, boy. I got no idea what that says. It's just
you got it. Well,
blobs of green and gray.
before we do though, let's actually look at the 5 different headlines. So
Okay.
this just remember we have a whole page that you could look at.
Yeah.
However, the
We ain't
only
looking at
thing
that.
we've changed on this page was just in this area here in the white. Okay, now this is the control. This is what the page was before we tested it.
Right. The original headline. Untouched.
The original headline.
The
You need a
virgin
cookie,
headline.
but not just any cookie. That's it. Right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Now remember, this is a long page.
Yep. We
A
don't
lot
need
of
to see
words
it.
and
We don't need
images,
to see it. All we
and
care about is the
the only
headlines.
thing we did was change just this area here. Okay.
Yep.
So the
All right.
the first thing we tested it up against was this headline. So, Jim, walk us through high level. Some of the changes we made from this headline to the control headline.
So the first thing we did was add a call out. So we're calling out to our audience, getting them to recognize that we recognize them. So that's the first thing. And you can call out to a specific group, which is preferable. If you can't call out to a group, if you're going so wide, then you have to call out to a problem or a desire. So, and you can also combine specific group with desire as well. So, so you could do attention busy moms who love their kids. So here's how to get recognized as a super mom you are with custom cookies that look and taste amazing. So what we were doing there was creating a hook based on their ideal identity, because every busy mom wants to be a super mom. They just do. And so in this thing of even if you aren't creative or have never baked before, so that's taking away any excuse that they might have for not wanting to, it's like, this isn't for me because I'm not a baker. I failed home ec. I set the kitchen on fire every time I cook something. I burned water. Okay, so next one.
Okay, and the next one is very similar. So when you say the call out, that is the attention or ATTN. We use it shorthand, and then So this extra line, a pre-header, if you will, above that. I know it's beat that headline, but this is a little tinsel that happens before the headline, calling out your audience. Okay, cool. And in the second variation, it is very, very similar. I think we might have just changed one word. Custom with custom cookies that look and taste amazing, and in this one, it's with homemade cookies that look and taste amazing.
Right. So that's the only difference is one word. So you would not expect the difference between those two headlines to be very significant. This is the kind of thing where you can't beat the control anymore. And now you're just trying to whittle away to find those extra little bits of profit here and there with just changing a single word. But that's not a big broad brushstroke thing.
Yep. And let's do the remaining two, and then we'll go back into another reason why we'd only change one or two words as a tweak, and still run the test, because you start to get like metadata. If these two things are more, yeah. Anyway, so we'll show that once we finish the last two. Okay, this is the next test. Again, compared to the control here. You can see pretty similar. You need a cookie, but not just any cookie. And then this is,
we just added a grabber.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, it wrapped, which is interesting.
Yes. Yep. So I'm not sure if that was intentional or not. Okay. And in mobile, it might have looked the same. And my thing with mobile, I'm mobile first, but when my team took these screenshots, they took them on a desktop. So that's what we got.
Okay.
And the last test, and you can see that this last test is, just like these two tests, this one and this one. This one is also very similar with a little tweak as well. So,
right.
What do you
just
see?
Turned it into a question. just turned it into a question, trying to use a question hook to try and grab people. And like, to me, this doesn't really make sense. But the problem is that I'm not my target audience in this case. So whether it makes sense to me or not doesn't really matter, because this is just a derivation on something that was already working. So it's not what you think, it's what the potential customers, your target audience, thinks that matters with their, and how they vote with their, in this case, their credit card.
Yep.
So
and the other thing we did, which, and again, we could run this as another test with or without an emoji or something like that. I don't think that is the significance. I think the idea here is that using our own in-house software, we have the luxury, the privilege to test more than just two things, more than one thing at a time against the control. And so what we did was we essentially, these 4 tests are really 2 tests that we doubled with some little changes. So this one and this one is, in my brain, coming from the place as if all we did was call out our audience off of the control. If all we did was call out our audience, it will increase conversions, because the minute they land on this page, they understand that we're talking to them. And then on this page, the thought process is calling out our audience, as well as coming up with, I would call these headlines, Jim, like more, I'm not sure, would you, more like direct responsey, more like, jam packing every benefit. Old school
direct response copywriting stuff.
There it is. Yep. And you and I were mindful enough to realize, well, that's not always the magic bullet. That's why we test. And let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, though, because also some old school technique is calling out your audience. And so let's see how these things stacked up when we complete the test. Are you ready? Should we get a little drum roll and I'll zoom in?
I am ready.
All right.
Oh my God,
Boom.
This is amazing.
All right, let's zoom in here. So this is really interesting.
You got to zoom in more. I can't read that. You got to zoom in more.
Zoom in more?
Yep.
You got it. Bam. How's that?
Okay.
Okay.
You can't zoom in anymore?
I can, but we want to show the comparative, like how they stack up against each other.
All right.
You want to zoom in more for the reading the text or reading
it's fine.
numbers?
It's fine. Just we'll address them in order, which I know you're doing. So we're good. We're
I'm cool. Zooming in, babe. I'm zooming in.
Better. That's good. That too far now.
No
too
way.
Too far. Killing me.
How's that? Is that good?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Scoot over to the right a little bit, because I don't care. There you go. Perfect.
Boom.
Perfect. Okay.
You know what? We could even do two to get crazy. Is that going to make it crazy?
All right. Well, now I can't see R very well, or do I not want to see that?
This is the one that you want to pay attention to. These are the actual sales conversion rates.
Okay.
The money that comes in is going to be dependent on a little bit of the traffic as well. So this is the big boy. And so the control is converting at 2.71.
Okay.
Now this is what I mean by when you have the capability of testing more things at a time, you get more meta. You can start grouping things. So like I would group these two things together.
Right. Because they're basically the same thing with just a little derivation.
Exactly. Yep. And it just allows you to increase your probability that it's statistically significant, because you could add these two things together. So just going over high level results, the control did 2.71%.
Okay, 2.71% what? Opt-in, sales, what?
Sales.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, so for every 100 people that came, 2.34 people bought.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, P2 divided by M2. So 41 people out of the 1,500 people that visited.
Right. Okay.
Bought.
Okay.
And I believe this is bought just the first order, and then there's obviously like upsells and stuff like that.
Right.
Completed the checkout page purchase. The next one, which is more of the direct response C, was
more traditional direct response headline.
Yes, the old school 2.34 and 2.5. So these two collectively scored slightly below the control in terms of sales.
What percentage of people buy this on mobile as opposed to desktop?
That I don't know specifically for this test, but in general, 80-90% of traffic is going through mobile
for this offer
for their business. I don't know the specific funnel.
Okay. So one thing that immediately went through my head is that on a phone, those two headlines in gray would be a complete and total pain in the ass to read
because it's super wordy. Yeah.
And big. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So that's instant. Just that's a mechanical thing in my mind right there initially.
Yep.
So, okay.
Yep. And well, we'll go over. I'll just go over the results, and then because that's a key insight that now that you mentioned it, I could tell has a big deal, but I wasn't thinking it from that angle specifically on mobile, which is funny because I'm always saying mobile. So let's we'll do the last two results. So the last two, which is mainly just adding the calling your audience on top. One with a variation, one with no variation, and one with the variation as a question and emoji scored 3.23%, 3.44% collectively above the control. Now here's the okay. So anyway, so that's the data. One last thing to point out is this column here is the probability of this being accurate. Okay. Now this is interesting. When you
say being accurate or being the winner,
statistically significant.
Okay. Again, I got a D- in statistics. So literally got a D- in statistics. Is that number there the probability that this is the winner? Is that what that means?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I'm looking for. That's it. That's all I'm looking for. Okay.
And it's some crazy math. Like if I'm coaching or if I'm doing this, like just meat and potatoes, I say get the lowest 1 to 100 sales, and then you call the test. So right now, this funnel had 40 sales, 17, 18, 40, and 44. And so in other words, collectively it was over 100, but I would say to continue test to be statistically significant, if you're just doing it the A/B way. One of the nice things about doing it this way is we would add these two things together. So added together, it's a 93.69%, which would be statistically significant. Everyone has their line in the sand, and because these two things are so close in it, this is where getting these meta ideas. But we could chat more about that.
Keep saying meta to me. That's where we're splitting hairs.
Okay, what's in terms of
that's how I would say it. No, that's where we get into literally splitting hairs over little tiny tweaks.
Yes,
you say this is meta. I don't even know what the hell that means. Meta is like what that weird redheaded monkey calls his company now because he's really rich and doesn't think he has to live in the real world anymore. We're splitting hairs, but in a way that's going to make us money, not aggravate our spouse to the point of beating us with a wet noodle.
We're splitting hairs to put those hairs back on top after the test is done. In other words,
we're like a politician's hair plugs.
If like let's say this one was the winner, and then this one was the second place winner. Well, then you got to start scratching your head because you're like, because they're so drastically different. But when the first place winner and the second place winner are the ones that are splitting hairs, and the losers are splitting hairs or combined, I call it a meta learning, the bigger learning. And what's interesting is, even though these, this is what you got to look at. Oh, sorry about that. Let me go. Okay. Even though this 2.34 and this 2.5 was below the control, it's pretty negligible, right? It's below it by 0.16 and 0.20, was that 36? And so under a half of a percentage, which could be a big deal, but not as much as high as these were. Does that make sense?
It does. So these three suck, just they suck a little. One sucks a little less than the other one sucks. Instead of being amazing, and then this other one is a little bit more amazing than this other one. But these two are more amazing. These two are the cool kids as opposed to the ugly kids no one wants to play with. And they have to tie a ham bone around the kid's neck so the dog will play with it. That kind? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the $1 million question is, though, why?
The kid smells bad. I don't care why. I don't care why, because my customers and people buying and spending money have told me. I don't care why.
But you care why?
I care why taking the lesson forward, but I don't care why from the standpoint of judging and having to be right.
For sure. But what we want to know is, what the heck do we do to these headlines? And we talked about it. To me, there's two things. We actually ran two tests simultaneously on this page. I mean, you could say we ran lots of tests because the emoji or this and that, but that's splitting hairs. To me, the two big tests we ran was a universal test, which is we called out the audience. The one thing that these 4 other tests have in common is they all say, attention, busy moms, ... That is a commonality in these 4. And then, so that's the first test we had. That's the commonality. And then the subtest is the actual headline, which these two are similar in idea, expressed a little bit differently, like you said, splitting hairs. And these two are similar in idea, expressed like a little differently, like splitting hairs with an emoji and a question. One is that old school headline. One is just pretty much the control. But the one thing all 4 of them have in common is we added the call out. And so to me, the biggest learning that we have, and why people watching, the biggest takeaway for you at home, or maybe you're not at home, maybe you're at your neighbor's house right now, is adding a call out to your page, and being mindful. And Jim, as you said, what's the purpose of the call out again?
So that the people know that they're talking to me as the customer, as the prospect showing up. I know, okay, this is for me. This is about me. So once they read that call out, you have pre-framed the pre-frame in the hook. You have literally set the filter that they are reading this as a busy mom. This is for busy moms. So I'm going to read this with my busy mom hat on.
Yeah. And if that's true, then what else can we either add, remove, or change on the rest of the page to support that idea?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, that's why I get so jazzed up about this, because it is it's such another reminder that that speaking to your audience and calling it out to let them know that you are speaking to them is one of the greatest things that we could do to increase conversion rate optimization. It's just, how does it get expressed? And the easiest way to express it, and probably the most impactful way, is as a call out, a pre-header to your headline. And it's not the only way to call it out. You could sprinkle it, tinsel, if you will, your landing page tree throughout the copy once you know that this is working. That's how you carry learnings over from test to test. And by the way, cute, interesting thing, because you kind of hit it on the head with your insight about mobile. If you are a busy mom, you might not have time to read this entire headline. And
on
because
your phone.
I was scratching my head. It's like, you need a cookie, but not any cookie. Like, that's we're a lot of times in the marketing world, we are taught one way to do something,
right? And
it has a little emperor's new clothes. And, like you said, the marketplace decides, the audience decides. It could be like, if you're a busy mom, or just a tone of talking to a busy mom that's not a marketer, like, here's how to make $6,000 in under 2 minutes
with
using
cookies.
A laptop. Right. Yeah.
And cookies.
And then the other thing is if you do look at the rest of the page, it is more. How would you call it? The pace of the page, the cadence, the speed.
It's more clippy. It's more clippy. It's clipped. It's not. It's da 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 not da 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 da. It's like ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum,
yeah,
ba-dum, ba-dum. Because I still don't understand what the heck that hook means. Actually, I really, honest to God, I don't. But I'm not a busy mom, so I'm not. I just don't understand it.
I know, like with kids, like a lot of times, like, oh, do you want a cookie? Like kind of like, do you need a cookie? Like, almost like if a kid is like stressed out or you're trying to coerce them to do something, it's usually like almost like a catchphrase.
Right. Whereas I think of, oh, you need a cookie. I mean, it's actually an insult. It's a punch. It's a verbal punch in the face. It
is a little bit, right? And so maybe it's a little prolific. I love this, that, telling our story. But what I would tell Lauren and Preston is, if this is true now, then what else is true? And so if the idea of calling out busy moms and like, in other words, before testing attention busy moms who this is the other interesting thing, Jim. The other big takeaway I have is sometimes people overdo it, and in terms of like trying to put, how do I say this?
Attention busy moms who love their kids and are really busy and want to make up for all of the feelings of abandonment that their children feel because you go off to work every morning and leave them at a cold bus stop with a cold lunch and a crazed pedophile living 3 doors down. Do you need a cookie?
Yeah,
it's like you can overdo the whole attention thing at the beginning. So you're overdoing. You can't try and cast such a wide net that you dilute the grabber. You dilute the power of the grabber. So is that what you were trying to say?
Yeah. Well, yes, and also don't. I was going to be shorter in terms of attention busy moms who want to make cookies, but they actually, we don't want to assume, even though you're selling them a course on how to make cookies, don't assume that they actually are solution aware to their problem. And and deep down inside, they might not want to make cookies. They want what the cookies represent to them. And so sometimes being more vague of just calling out an audience is at a higher level, as long as it's called out, is enough. Could be an overkill. Now, we don't know that until we test it. We could test attention busy mom, and in other words, isolate the headline and only change the audience up here.
Right. Attention busy moms who want to show more love. Attention busy moms who want more fun. Attention busy moms who want a fun family day.
Or you could lean and then you could also use. So those are some desires. Let's we could say pains, right? Too attention busy moms who are stressed, or
attention busy moms who feel like they've neglected their kids a little bit lately. Attention
or themselves.
Busy,
yeah. So that's the big learning. It's like there's it's kind of like a choose your own adventure. You could either test through something or around it. So if we're happy with, all in all, if we take the control at 2.71 and the winner at 3.44, this lifted sales by 17%. That's insane. Wow. But just calling out the freaking person. Now, again, statistically significance, the way I measure statistically significance is I add these two up. When you add them up in this lower right-hand corner, you can't see it on your screen, but that is almost 94%. If you add them up, you probably should then average these out to make that increase in claim. So it's maybe closer to 12%, but it's still over a 10% increase in sales based on just calling out that audience. Yep.
Right.
And so then the question is,
and not carrying that audience call out throughout the rest of the copy to keep reinforcing the message.
Correct. Yep. And so you're at choose your own adventure. At this point, you either continue to try to improve it by just getting a bigger win on this, or you say this is good enough, let's go around it, and then you say, if this is true, then what else is true or could be true on my page, and then you start expressing busy mom or expressing that you're talking to the audience throughout the page. One example is you could test this down here. By the way, it's interesting. Right in your own kitchen, I guess, could imply that it doesn't take a bunch of time because you're doing it at home.
It also implies that you don't need anything else extra to be able to do it. And you might even try it right in your own kitchen with the pans you already have. In other words, I don't have to buy a whole bunch of junk. I don't have to go buy a whole bunch of stuff. It's like the Blue Plate. If you've ever done that Blue Plate or one of those things where they mail you the ingredients and it's ready in 30 minutes. Yeah, it's ready in 30 minutes, but you've used every friggin' pot in the house, and you're looking for knives I ain't even heard of and stuff. Christina made a suggestion here that I'll riff on too. She said, attention busy moms who want to surprise our kids with a fun cookie activity if you've been too busy for them lately. That's cool. Maybe a little long, but maybe not. I don't know. But attention busy moms who want a fun rainy day activity with your kids. That brought that to my mind. But playing with that, once you've established that that's the place that you want to start really digging in because you can't do anything else with the main headline. That's cool.
And I will say the big thing, knowing Lauren and Preston's business and their avatar isn't actually angled as a fun activity to do with your kids. It's one of the things like one of the 10 things you can, but the big idea is it's actually fulfillment for the mom that doesn't have anything for her because she's so consumed taking care of others. This is a thing that they feel empowered, and their meditation, which is counterintuitive because when you think about making cookies, in my brain, I categorize it to just another thing on the list that
attention busy moms who are ready for some me time.
Yeah. So more of that type of stuff. And if you read the copy, look at that, right? Something into my life that was just for me, cookie decorating. And it's this feeling, by the way, like Roni, my wife experienced this because we went through this course and made cookies on Father's Day. And now she continues to do it. It's this feeling of like, I have a skill, this elitism thing that you feel that like, wow, how do you, is this like kind of this unique thing and this meditation, which again, like is so insane because these guys are crushing it, and it's more of a movement. And so highly recommend reading Expert Secrets again, or for the first time.
I had a friend of mine who was a chef who told me one time, he said, the reason I love what I do is because I'm an artist and people eat my art. It's a connection that you can't get with any other art form. Literally, people consume my art.
That's beautiful.
I thought that was really profound. Actually, I don't really have a whole lot of. Actually, I have a lot of profound friends, but that stuck with you. Told me that 20 years ago.
Dude, I love it. I think this page is awesome.
I think that does it, man. I think we're good. I think we just need to drop one or two last takeaways on everybody and wrap it up. So here's the thing. Can make a lot of money by testing headlines, and you can leave a lot of money on the table by not testing headlines. And what you think is good enough is never good enough. And it's not up to you to judge how effective your headline is. It's up to your ideal customers to tell you with their votes, voting with their clicks, with their opt-ins, and with their credit cards. That's how you judge whether a headline's any good or not. Those are my final thoughts. Dave, what are yours?
Add a call out pre-header to your current headline. That's like that is the
Absolutely.
biggest takeaway. And it's funny because we know that in your book and we know that in people watch us coaching, but now statistically showing a test that it does make a difference, and you don't have to be fancy. It could literally be ATTN busy moms, unless you're selling not to busy moms. Don't use actually busy moms if that's not your avatar, but you don't have to. That would be hilarious. Hey Dave, hey Jim, I put an attention busy mom selling
electric drills.
Yeah, selling I don't know, I'm trying to think of
something inappropriate but appropriate enough you could say.
Exactly, but still politically correct. That
Yeah.
And I was like, my brain is, every time I'm trying to think of something, there's some like subconscious like loxy that's like, nope, going back.
I can see the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other shoulder. The devil's telling you all the fun stuff I'd love to hear, and the angel saying no, 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 no. It looks like Sarah Morrison. So there you go.
Shout out to Sarah Morrison. All right, guys. Well, on that note, this has been another edition of
Beat That
Headline.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.